3 grandchildren. She lives in Bend and loves the great outdoors. Above all, Cindy and Mike hold family, friends, and service to others near to their hearts. On a personal level, I've been assistant governor for 4 district governors, and I can tell you that I've observed, Cindy has dealt with more issues and obstacles than any of the other district governors did, and she deals with it with a smile on her face and a good positive attitude. And I'm proud to be an assistant governor for Cindy. And please welcome our district governor, Cindy O'Neill.
Hey! Pete, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for your kind words about my year and all the things that we are faced with. And Pete, thank you for your service to Rotary in our district. You may all not know this, but Pete has stepped up to also be the treasurer for our fire relief fund that covers the entire district, and does weekly and bi-weekly reports so I can stay abreast of who's donating, what's being donating, and what our total funds are. And since we're talking about it, we're up over 100,000, I guess, right, Pete?
We're up to 118,000.
Woohoo! That's great. So I'll talk more about that later. Yes, we are facing a lot of changes, and Chris said a few minutes ago, Pete and Cindy are going to update us on what's going on in the district. Well, what's going on in the district is what's going on in your 2 clubs. Thank you for all your service. Thank you for keeping your club vital in your Zoom meetings. Gary and Chris, President Chris and President Gary, thank you so much for partnering to become our first satellite experiment in District 5110. We are all in the leadership very, very proud of you. I want to talk about you and Rotary and what we all face, but first I thought I would share some personal remarks about why I joined Rotary. And I ask you to think back, why did you join Rotary? But more importantly, right now, why do you stay? You heard that I joined Rotary because I was asked to serve on a volunteer project. And, I had no idea what Rotary was. And one day I stumbled literally into Rotary. I walked into my supervisor's office in the Forest Service to chat with him on a Friday evening. He was always there reading emails and catching up on work, and he didn't talk much. So I started some chit chat with him and said, Walt, what are you doing this weekend? He said, oh, I'm going to be 24/7 this coming week at the Rotary warehouse for the Tree of Joy, much like the Angels Tree project that Gary is leading for his club. And I said, tell me more about that. And he said, well, it's a project that we partner with the Salvation Army. They vet needy families in Bend, and people take tags off the tree that list children's wishes from Santa, and they buy the gifts like President Chris just did. They wrap them up and they bring them back to our warehouse, and we sort them into bags, and we put a map of where their home is. And then Rotarians, whatever those were, maybe those are people from outer space, I had no idea, but they deliver the gifts. I said, that is really cool. He goes, great. You stop by the warehouse tomorrow, here's the directions, and I'll fill up your car with bags to deliver. Well, so I did. I delivered gifts every night after work. It was the holidays, it was pretty close to Christmas, so I kept at it for 5 days. And on Friday evening, in the dark, I finally found a trailer house, and I pulled out, and I could see from the lights on my car that there was baby equipment out in the snow. There was a high chair and a playpen and a swing set and sadly, a fully decorated tree all in the snow. I went up the steps to the trailer house anyway, knocked on the door, and a woman opened the door and said, what do you want? And I said, this is what I'm doing. And she said, oh, that woman, she's in jail for drug possession. And I said, well, where are the children? She said, I don't know. And she slammed the door and I got in the car and I cried easily. And I called Walt and I told him what happened. He said, do not worry. You bring me back that bag of gifts and I will find those children. Well, you know, a couple of days later on the weekend, Walt called me and said, I found those kids. I just wanted you to know they're going to have a Christmas. There's a Rotarian. There's a dedicated person, someone who agrees to do a job and takes it to the end. That's a Rotarian. And you may know him, some of you. It's past District Governor Walt Schlor. I did this for 3 years as a volunteer because it reset my perception of Christmas and it reset my perception of my hometown. All the poverty behind the curtain of affluence in Bend, Oregon, were people in desperate need of help of all kinds, I could tell. The third year, I asked my self-absorbed teenage daughter to go with me. Okay, Mom, I'll go. And we spent a Saturday delivering all these bags of gifts, now in the family truck, because Walt really liked to load me up. And the last house, it was really difficult for us to find the address. My daughter was the navigator and she just kept saying, Mom, it's supposed to be right here, you know, just pull up. Finally, I saw the address on the side of a garage above the man door, 365B. This person was living in a garage. Abby was saying, Mom, I get to take the bag up to the door this time. I said, fine, yes, you can. And she said, I will say your Rotary spiel, don't worry. So we went to the door and I followed her. We knocked on the door and a lovely little young woman came to the door with 3 adorable toddlers gripping her legs. And my daughter said, Merry Christmas from the Rotary Tree of Joy. And the woman looked at us and said, there is a God. We got in the truck and we had one of those moments that's rare for a teenage daughter and a mother, and had a little cry and talked about how lucky we felt when we went home. The following year, I joined my husband, who was then a Rotarian, with 3 other couples to go to the Zuni Indian Reservation in New Mexico for what we might consider now a global grant on the Zuni Indian Nation to help people with type 2 diabetes navigate their homes by installing wheelchair ramps, lowering steps in their house to make everything level, widening doors inside their homes, and had an incredibly valuable cultural experience right here in the United States. Behind the curtain of affluence, there is so much need. Everything we do internationally can be done right here. There are kids in Josephine County that don't have shoes. There are kids who don't have access to social distanced learning right now because they don't have Wi-Fi. There's so much need in our world right now. This is why I stay in Rotary. I decided to join Rotary then, and I asked a club because it was sort of a mystery, you know? We have to remove this mystery. How do I join Rotary? And she said, oh, we already have one of you from the Forest Service. So I didn't join that club. I went to another club and they said, no, you really can't join this club because we already have your husband in this club and we don't allow partners to join. A whole year passed, life gets busy, and I ran into past District Governor Walt Schlor, my boss, and said, you know, I'd kind of like to join Rotary. He goes, oh, I'll sponsor you. And I joined. And that's when I learned just how incredibly powerful Rotary really is. The power of the Rotary Foundation to leverage all the great work that you do, but more importantly, the power of our collective knowledge, our collective connections in the community and the world, and our friendships. When you take these 3 things, our knowledge, our connections, and our friendships, and you match that with our passion to serve, We create those magic ingredients that make Rotary incredibly powerful. The reason I decided to self-nominate myself, Anita, to be district governor is because I don't think our communities understand just how powerful and relevant Rotary is and what a gift it could be to become a member. And so here I stand virtually before you to tell you that I think this is our time to make Rotary incredibly known in our communities as being one of the most relevant service organizations in the world. This is our time. This is our time in your generation of membership in Rotary, where if you so choose, you can connect with your connections, with our future members, and give that gift of service to people in your community. About a month ago, our General Secretary and CEO of Rotary, John Huco, addressed a group of past district governors on the West Coast. And he said, and I quote, "This is Rotary's moment. This is what Rotary was built for," end quote. And you know what? I totally agree. And I agree because we've been here before and we've been strong and we've made a huge difference. Like in 1918, towards the close of World War I, it was Rotary that suggested world peace could be possible if we formed a League of Nations. And then our guys and gals came home from the European theater and brought the Spanish flu. And over 500 million people became infected and close to 50 million people died. But Rotary was there and we raised money and we bought ambulances. We raised money and we bought more hospital beds. We volunteered and we became hospital subdirectors. We volunteered and we went to the hospitals and we visited people who were sick, which may not have been the best idea, but we did this. We wrote safety protocols for how not to get the Spanish flu. And we partnered with the Boy Scouts to deliver these flyers all around our communities. We've been here before in 1945, when again, it was Rotary that said, peace is possible. Should we put together a vision of the United Nations? And Rotary was invited to the table to help charter the United Nations. 49 Rotarians were at that table. And in the written record of what Rotary suggested for the charter, women were suggested to be at the table, even though Rotary was an all men's club at the time. In the 1950s, polio broke out, and it was a Rotarian who started the Crippled Children's Fund, which became the March of Dimes. In 1975, after we had the vaccine and eradicated polio in our own country, it was Rotary that decided we should go to the Philippines and eradicate it there. And we did by 79. In 85, it was Rotary that took the bold step to join with world partners, the CDC, the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and now the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to eradicate polio worldwide. In August, the continent of Africa was declared polio-free. We have 2 countries left from the district of 30-20, Afghanistan and Pakistan. We've been here before, and now it's our time. You have the full attention of your community, and you know it. With your food box program, you have shown just how important Rotary can be to your community. You know, our communities need Rotary. Last year, I asked President-elect Chris to interview at least 3 community leaders and write a 2-minute speech about the most pressing needs in your community. And she did. It's a great speech. I hope she's given it to you. Things are changing rapidly. And so now I'm asking all of you to use your connections, reach out, and ask these questions again. What is our community's most pressing needs now? We're Rotary. How can we help? Bring back your ideas. Make a plan. Keep it simple. Serve your community every month and let the world know about it. If someone from the top of Rotary were to ask me, what do you think is the way to grow Rotary? I would just say, serve your community and let the world know about it. The press, your partners, and your future members. Do something to serve your community every month like you do with the food boxes. But things are changing. The disparity of needs is growing, not just for food, but for shelter and access to education and joblessness. Pick a favorite restaurant and do a drive-by lunch someday and save that restaurant from a cash flow problem in a month. You know, this is a great club and I admire you. You have so many heroes in this club. And so really, I'm here to say thank you. But we're not done. This will be a hard year coming forward. We have COVID still, and we have social unrest, and we have the remains of disastrous wildfires. So I'm going to be asking you to reach out consistently to your connections, to your community, and ask the question, what's your most pressing need now? We're Rotary, how can we help? When you do this, when you ask and then you act, you show great compassionate leadership for your members and for your community, and you take the Rotary brand experience outside the club. Today, I listened virtually to a presentation by our RI President, Holger Knack. And you know, every time I speak to clubs and I give this speech, I tweak it a little bit because so many things are changing. So I wanted to share with you today what Holger said. And I quote, provide the Rotary that the world needs. We need to change and adapt. And I say, provide the Rotary your members want, your community needs. Let's adapt to our new world. It's coming at us pretty fast. That's the end of my formal remarks. I'm just really honored to be here at this club. Your food box program knocks it out of the park. I'm so honored to have been able to participate and see what you do with the food box program, and also go to your medical warehouse and see what you do sharing medical supplies with an area of Africa. Really great project. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to hear of a rejuvenation of what I would call the Tree of Joy in the Satellite Club. Thank you, President Gary. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Cindy. I saw some chat comments. You might want to make sure you see them. One of them said, this is the best DG presentation I've ever heard in Rotary. So there, and you did an awesome job. You do an awesome job. And I know you've had some struggles of your own, and you never know it looking at Cindy. She's just the ever ready bunny, you know, or whatever that old thing is. She's out there. Yeah, thank you. She's out there making a difference for Rotary, for the world, and for us as a club. We have about 3 minutes, 5 minutes. If anyone has a question for her, raise your hand.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to reiterate that I think for me, what made the compelling difference in your presentation, Cindy, is hearing the personal stories, because and I can't speak for other people, but that's really why I'm in it, is, to change one life or one family at a time. So that's just a really good reminder. And again, thank you for your service and for being such an inspiration.
Jean, you are so welcome. And it's so true. When we bring in a new Rotary member, we give them a gift, an opportunity to serve. Chris just said, gosh, you wouldn't know all the things that Cindy's going through, but it's Rotary that really lifts me up. And when I see all the great things that you're doing, it just makes life all that much better. Yeah, I think Rotary really is a sustaining, life-giving organization for the members. It's a gift.
I agree. It's not just the opportunity to serve, but it's what you get when you serve. It enriches our life as much as we hope that we enrich those
Others.
or the recipients of the Christmas trees or the medical supplies or the food boxes that we do. Every one of those little actions makes such a big impact. I remember thinking of that when Gary's team was dividing up the spices on a windy day and putting different kinds of spices in individual bags for the food boxes, and the chili peppers started blowing around in the wind and they were all sneezing and wheezing. But each one of those bags of chili pepper was going to give somebody a little spice for their dinner that night. And it was just like, so cool. Anyway.
It looks like Camille Runzio is not on the call anymore. And I'm so sorry, because I just wanted to mention one more time. I've given out Rotary Hero hats, but giving Camille a Rotary Hero hat was one of the highlights so far of my year. Appreciate her. She is just amazing. Not only for the food box program, but for Friendship Exchange, which has enriched our district many times over. The first entity to donate to our fire relief program was Thailand, $10,000 from Thailand. And it was because of a Rotary Friendship Exchange that they got to know us and we got to know them. And we've done many projects over there, service projects. And now they're donating to our disaster relief program. It's just so touching.
It is. I see Randy has his hand up, and then Anita.
Well, while you're here, Cindy, I just want to recognize Zoe and our Interact group, because they, I don't have a lot to compare to because I haven't worked with other Interact groups, but I have to think that the South Eugene High School Interact Club is exemplary. Thanks to students like Zoe and Debbie, who I don't think is here today, our advisor. But if you're ever looking for either an Interact group to visit or an Interact group to hold up as an example, I think that we've got one here.
Thank you, Randy. Well, Zoe, if you ever would like for me to perhaps after the first of the year address your Interact Club via Zoom, I would love to. I have a few more club visits that take me through the beginning of January, and then my schedule starts to open up. And by the way, I'm ready to come back and serve your community. Just let me know. Service is the name of the game.
Great.
That sounds great.
I'm gonna ask Anita to be really brief. We're out of time, but
I just wanted to expand on something that Cindy had said, and that is the experiences you have when you visit Rotary clubs around the world. I know we don't have a secret handshake. We should, but we don't. But it's really like I've been to Rotary Club meetings in Greece, Turkey, Pakistan, and other places, and it's always like you know them already. And I have found that quite profound. So it's been an incredible international experience as well.
Yep, we're not in a vacuum here. We're all in it together. Cindy, I want to thank you again for attending our meeting virtually. Isn't this great about Zoom? You can do it in your home in time for dinner. Haha. Next week, our theme is going to be the 1960s. So what are you going to do about that? 1960s. Those of you that remember it should have no problems. Those of you that don't, Zoe, you're going to have to wing it, but I think you can get some ideas. And speaking, Cindy touched on this, but next week's program answers the question, what happens to the medical equipment that we load into those containers? Well, Dr. Aubin Marath of Cardio Start will be here via Zoom to tell us the rest of the story and the impact that we make in the Dominican Republic or Nigeria or all the other places that all this medical equipment that Cindy got to see a warehouse of, which is almost empty now, Cindy, what happens to it, and then the difference we're making in people's lives that we don't even know. All we know is that we put a lot of effort into loading up this container truck, which is an awful lot of fun. Any other last minute comments? Cindy, you get to take it.
I just want to say that things for our district conference are starting to come together. And I think we're going to be able to have one. I'm going to have it at the fairgrounds in Central Oregon, so we can be outside with the drive-in theater, and we're going to have a band, and we're going to celebrate. We are going to get together and be socially distanced, but I'm really excited, and I just wanted you to know you're invited.
Oh, awesome. That sounds like fun, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that.
Yep.
Parting remarks, anyone?
See you at the food boxes.
That's right. And see you at the board, those of you that are on the board tonight. Thank you for coming, everyone. And thank you, Cindy, again. And Pete.
You're welcome. Awesome club, everyone. Thank you, Pete. Bye-bye.
Good to see you again, Pete.